So if you're given the roots of a quadratic, what you can actually do is you can reconstruct the quadratic equation so you can from the roots. And that's what we're going to look at how to do in this class. So let's say if we have worked out the roots of two quadratics using maybe the quadratic equation or using the trial and error method, and we find out that x is equal to minus 5, and let's say the other x is equal to 4. Well, what we can do then is we can use this to work out what the factors are, and then we can actually use them to work out what the quadratic is. So if one of the roots is equal to minus 5, then what we're trying to find out is what are the two factors that we have to multiply by each other in order to get the quadratic. So if one of the roots is equal to x is equal to minus 5, then one of the factors is going to be equal to, we just bring this back over here onto this side. So how do we do that? Well, if we have, for example, x minus 5, so x minus 5, sorry, x, should I say, is equal to minus 5. What we can do is we can turn this back into its factor by bringing this 5 back over to this side and making it equal to 0. So how do we get rid of the 5 on this side? We have to add 5. And if we add 5 here, we have to add 5 over here as well. And what that will do is it'll cancel that out, and you'll end up with x plus 5 is equal to 0. And therefore x plus 5 is one of the factors. So we can write it in here, x plus 5. And then the same then as well. So for example, if we're given this guy here, so this goes over here like that. And then if we're given this one, and maybe so it's x plus 5. So sorry. So let me get rid of that. So that's one of the factors. And then what we can do is we can work on this one. So for example, x is equal to 4. And then what we can do is we can turn this back into its factor by making this equal to 0. So how do we do that? Well, we have to get rid of this 4 on this side and bring it over to the other side. So we can minus 4 from here and then minus 4 from here. So what will happen then is that 4 minus 4 will cancel out. That'll just be equal to 0. And then it'll be left with, so x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, and then what you can say then is that this here then is the factor, the other factor. And so it's x minus 4. So therefore then we have our two factors, so x minus 4. Now, that's how, so we've started with the roots, and then what we're able to do then is turn these into each of the factors. So this is factor 1, and this is how we got it, and then this is the other root, and then this is how we got the other factor. So this is factor 2, and then we put them in like this. Okay, now what we can do is we can multiply these by each other and then work out what the original quadratic was. So remember, when we're multiplying these, so we multiply this by this, this by this, okay, and then we can multiply this by this, and this by this. Okay, so multiply this by this, this by this, then this by this, this by this. Okay, so what will that look like? So x multiplied by x is going to give me x squared. X multiplied by minus 4 will give me minus 4x. 5 by x gives me plus 5x. And then 5 by minus 4 gives me minus 20. Now what I can do is I need to simplify this by collecting up the like terms. So if we have a look at x, there's no other like terms like x, so that's as simplified as that's going to get. so it's just going to be equal to x squared. And then minus 4, so minus 4x and 5x, these are like terms, so we can group them together. So if I'm on minus 4x and I plus 5x, that's just going to leave me with plus x. And then I'm just left with minus 20. So then what we've done is we've got then the original quadratic. And remember, this multiplied by this is going to be equal to 0. Okay, each of these is equal to 0. Each of these guys are equal to 0. And also then as well, this quadratic is going to be equal to 0. So that's really it. So it's fairly straightforward. If you're given the roots, you can work out what the factors are. And then once you work out what the factors are, then you can multiply these by each other and get the original quadratic, just like what we've done there. So that is forming quadratics from roots.